Great. Okay. So the few questions that was given to me by Ms. Rose shows certain things right from start of the program, where we start with adding few clients because that's where the intake process starts, and it goes on to adding few matters and then opening a file, and it goes on to adding dockets, and there's endless number of things that you can do in a program like uLaw to keep yourself up to date with the client matter management as well as the accounting linked with it. While I said that, just want to quickly let you all know, I know that you've been probably introduced to uLaw by Ms. Rose in a while now, or any other instructor in your previous semester or this current semester, but just a quick brief idea about uLaw. So uLaw is a legal practice management program. It's a Canadian legal practice management program. And that being said, it handles both client matter management as well as accounting for you in the same platform. You don't have to literally worry about adding accounts separately, whereas if you're at the matter end doing the accounting under a client's file, it's going to be reflecting in the accounting section also, so that you can, end of the day, do the reconciliation and take care of the compliance for the accounting. So the idea and purpose behind a program like uLaw is to have a one-stop solution where, you know, right from adding a client detail or an information while you're doing a client intake to adding dockets for invoicing purposes and moving on with reconciling the accounts as per Law Society requirements. Everything is provided for you in the program. Just have to explore a little bit, which is what I'm going to walk you through today. So it'll become a little easier for you when you're doing this exercise at your end. And also, after you graduate, it becomes much easier for you if you start your own practice and you're looking for a program that helps you to be compliant with Law Society, because end of the day, more than keeping track of records for yourself, it's also for the purpose of submitting records to Law Society to keep yourself compliant with your practice. So I'm going to quickly jump into the example or a case scenario that I'm going to show you today. And what you're seeing right in front of your screen is my dashboard. Typically, once you log into the program, it probably lands you at this page, which is called dashboard. And dashboard is currently where you're seeing all your recent activities. I'm not going to stress too much on each of these sections that you see on the left-hand side, but just to briefly tell you, once you go into dashboard, you get to see all the recent activities or modifications in the program. Beside or below that is contact. And once you go into your contact, you get to see a few tabs on the top, which shows you add new contact, add new client, client portal, and group. To keep it simple, to start with adding a new client, you just have to click on Add New Client that you see on the red tab or the red colored tab. And once you click on Add New Client, you can start adding the information of this client. Let's say, for example, I'm adding the client's name is Sarah. And you can go ahead and add any notes here. For example, you have the driving license of the client. So you want to make a note of the driving license number of the client or the date of birth, or probably some personal details that you want to make additional details about the client. Can go into this notes section here, this tiny little box, and other profession. Source of contact, very important field. Law Society tells you that It is one of the most important compliance document at the time of client intake, making sure how this client reached out to you. Let's say the existing client referred, or through an advertisement that you had posted online, or through maybe your friends and family. Maybe I just keep it as internet advertising, and the rest of the details. Adding in the address is very important. It's a basic information. And the phone number. And the email. These are considered as basic information of intaking a client and making sure that all the respective details are added. Once the respective details are added, you click on Save, and you start with Client Conflict Check. This is the first step towards conflict creation or conflict check document that needs to be created for Law Society purposes. If you click on document generation, there are two ways to download this specific document. The simplest way is to click on action right above the client's name, click on conflict check, and if you want to screen the entire matter list, events, dockets, etc., with the company and employment screening, please go ahead and check all the boxes that is seen here, and then you click on conflict check. The other way to bring this up is to click on document generation on the top of the contact screen. There's compliance tab here. Make sure you click on conflict check and do the same thing here. So there are two ways. One is in action right above client's name, and one is in the top of the screen under document generation and compliance. And once you click on the conflict check button, there will be, it'll take a minute depending upon number of clients and matters that you have. It has to go through the entire list to pull out the conflict check. So once the conflict check is pulled out, it'll come up on your, it'll come up as a PDF on your desktop or your downloads, and you get to see all the recent conflicts that you have with this client's name. Any potential conflicts, these are potential first name conflicts, Sarah, and the potential last name conflict, Kansas. So I took a very similar name to show you how the conflicts work. And that's about conflict check. Moving on, once the conflict check is done, right? So your client intake is almost completed at this stage. I would say the next step is to send them a retainer letter and get started with opening a matter. Audio cutting out for anyone else? Christine, I'm not too sure. Can someone else comment? I hope you're all able to hear me. I hear okay, great, thank you. Okay, Christine, I would suggest you dialing into the audio with the coordinates that I gave earlier. If you want, I can copy paste it again. Please do let me know if you need to dial it. Awesome, okay. Proceeding further, I'm going to, okay, you see, thanks. I'm going to open a matter for this client. In order to open a matter for this client, I'm going to simply click on matter. So opening a matter is also known as opening a file. When you know your physical file, we mean matter here in uLaw. And you provide a matter title or a file title. Let's say this is a simple, a small claims issue or a traffic ticket, or could be maybe one of those WSIB, SABs, anything. So any matter will carry a title. Let's say I just came up with this red light ticket here. Red light traffic ticket. And I want to categorize this specific file into the respective area of practice. and I'm going to put it under Highway Traffic Act or HTA. I hope I'm able to get that, or provincial offenses. Okay, so once you enter that, if you have a court file number for this particular file, you could enter it here. If not, you could ignore it. It's not a mandatory field. What is a mandatory field for you to remember? It's definitely this matter title. All right, and any matter description for you to describe about the matter, or any file number or anything of your own that you would like to enter here. Suppose, let's say this is your first file in 2022. You want to keep your own file numbering system. You could do that here under matter description, or you can just choose to ignore it, just leave this blank as the code file number 2, because uLaw creates its own file numbering system as soon as you click on save on the top. Now, these fee rates are basically coming in from the settings, because under settings, we have filled in the fee rate. Now, you don't have to worry, because I'm sure you're all using the Playground account as of now. So the fee rates and everything has been set up in the Playground account. But for your future purposes and for understanding, I'm letting you know that these fee rates are customizable. We have under settings the fees and rate for lawyer and assistant and other legal counsel, where you could enter your rate at that time, and it'll auto-populate here. And even then, you can still control it at the matter level. If, for example, this particular client, you feel like charging them more or less, you could definitely do that at the matter level as well, even though at the global level, you have been set up with a rate. Okay, so just for your understanding, these matter creation is about creating the file with the details about, basic details about client name has been given while the client details were created. Then a file was opened, so the file details have been given here. And then the default tax rate is set to your province. If you are from Ontario and your work address says Ontario, all your files will open with a default tax rate of 13%. So it is set to your province of your work address. And once all the details are provided, you click on save, you see a file number has been created. So this file number is auto-generated by uLaw. It's an alphanumeric unique number. It is not serialized. It is not in a sequential manner or in order. It is a random unique file number that carries the first letter of the first name, Sarah, first letter of the second name, Kansas. So followed by a random 6-digit number. Now, if you are looking to search, or if you need to look up for this file, there are a couple ways to enter. Most of the time, people get confused as to how to get into a file. It's easier to find a contact or the client under the contact. Just simply click Sarah, and you'll find Sarah Kansas here. Then you click on the matter, and you can get into the matter. That's number one way of getting into the file. And number two is to go into Quick View, which is basically sandwiched between contacts and matters. Quick View is more like a library or an index to a book. I just find this as the best way to get to a file, because all your files are seen here in one glance. And you go here, you type Sarah's name, and then all Sarah shows up, and you can click on Sarah Kansas here and go to the matter right from there. And the third and the last way of getting into a matter is simply going into Matters tab by itself. There's a Client tab here for you to look up for the file, and I can look up for the file by simply entering the client's name here, and the file will come up. Okay, so that's about creating the client, doing the conflict check, opening a file so far. Now, once you open a file, what is one thing we all tend to do? I think once you get into your practice mode, you will know that more. It's about getting some money into your retainer, as a retainer into your trust account, if you have a trust account, right? So retainer can be collected only if you have a trust account, not otherwise. Because if you do not have a trust account, it's not you're probably not allowed, or you're actually not allowed to get the retainer, and in turn you would be billing the client and getting the money into the general account. You're still getting the money, but it's going to be a little delayed because you're going to bill the client for the work you're completing and then getting it into your general account. But a lot of people, just to give you a glimpse of it, prefer having trust for various reasons. Number one, you start the work with some money in your account. And number two, it's about maintaining the balances in your trust in general, very, very clear and very straightforward for a client and the matter respective. Because you, end of the day, know that for a pool trust account, you have, let's say, $1,000 in your trust, but you have only 2 clients of $500 each, but the money is maintained in the trust account with due diligence. You will be able to complete the work to a certain stage, invoice them even $250 for partial or an interim billing, send them a bill, and always move the money right royal from trust to general. You are not obligated here for anything else. As and when you finish your work, you can invoice the client with the dockets that you're going to be entering here under the matter, and you can move the money from trust to general. That's exactly what we're going to see in the next 2-3 minutes. So to start with, I think you all should learn the compliance part for a matter management, like how we saw the compliance part for client intake or client management or a contact management. You also have a Law Society complaints tab under matter management, where when you have created a matter or opened a file, these are certain things for you to make sure that you're completed, or at least you're obligated to download these forms and put them in the file if it is probably matching to what work you're doing. Definitely a few of these, like client ID verification form, client intake form, and other things like, opening letter, file opening letter, and authorization letter. Things like that are very important to begin a file with. And one such thing is definitely client ID verification. The moment you've added the details of the client under contact, you can download this client ID verification and choose the document that the client has given it to you for, and sign it at the bottom and put it in the file. So this is definitely one recommended document that needs to be in your file. And the next one is retainer letter. So when you've decided to go ahead and collect retainer from your client into the trust account, you send them a retainer letter or a retainer agreement, and you can collect the retainer into trust. But here, you don't have to worry about creating or drafting a document like this on your own, because uLaw has all of these documents that is definitely Law Society compliant, and that is also something that is modifiable, because we have a Word version of it and a PDF version of it. You could also modify it according to your convenience or according to your requirement, rather, where you need a simple letter or an elaborate letter, or you're looking for a flat rate docketing letter where you're planning to tell your client that you're actually going to do a flat rate docket for them, and you're collecting this retainer for that purpose. So I'm leaving it as an elaborate one, which is very commonly used by our clients, and a PDF version in English. Oh, we also have the French version of it, by the way. And I'm going to download this form to show you that I'm collecting a $400 retainer from this client. And you see all the client details on the top, followed by the file number, name, and other details, the description of services, fees, and of course it comes on your letterhead. We would create all those for you. You would be giving us your letterhead and logo, and we would help you with that. All this is in future, but I don't want to take too much time letting you know. But just for an idea, yes, you can upload your own logo and letterhead and make this look even more presentable and more customizable. And once you're giving this letter to your client, you go back into the program. Let's assume the client has paid you the amount on the same day into your trust account. After the client signs, most importantly, collect the letter and keep it in the drive safely so that you can later on open the drive and attach all the documents into the program. Now, the client has paid you the $400 retainer. The first thing for you to do is to go into the Disbursements and Retainer tab, click on New Retainer. There are a couple of methods to add the retainer. Definitely one of it is so explicit here because it says retainer on the top. So you click on Disbursements or Retainer tab, then you see New Retainer here, and then you start entering the $400 retainer that the client gave with email transfer or whatever check number or bank draft, any method of payment. Even cash is accepted, but you just have to make sure that it has been deposited into the bank the very next day. You cannot hold the cash in hand for more than 24 hours as per Law Society regulations. That being said, I'm entering all the details, starting with the date on the top, with the amount, with the method of payment, the reference number that I have with me, and received from details. Because I clicked on retainer, uLaw automatically picked up my pool trust account and not my general account. It's smart enough to know that a retainer has to go into a trust account, and you can also issue client a receipt for the retainer that has been given by them. You can download the retainer letter and the retainer receipt, and give the client this retainer receipt for the amount you have received. Now, going back into the matter, starting with docketing. So when I mentioned before that, I mentioned that there are two ways to add a retainer. Method one is to click on the New Retainer here under the Disbursements Retainer tab, and method two is to follow your bank. When you follow your bank, you know that the client paid you into trust account. So you come into the matter, you click on the trust tab, and it was a deposit. So you click into the deposit and you click on the New Retainer, the same page comes up. So option one, Disbursement Retainer, New Retainer, same page comes up. Or option two, follow the bank, go to trust, go to deposit and trust, and New Retainer, and the same page comes up. All right. Now, proceeding further with adding dockets. So far, we've seen creating a client, doing a conflict check, opening a file or a matter, and adding a retainer into it. Of course, I showed you a couple of documents that gets created in this process, and you proceed further with adding dockets as you've started the work for this client. Now, assuming that the first day you met the client, so you want to docket the client meeting, just simply add initial client meeting was done, and the time you took was probably, this goes in multiples of 6. So I took 42 minutes with this client, and I would like to bill this client for the same time. The tiny little drop down beside billable time, autofill billable, the same time that you took as the duration on the left-hand side that you've entered is going to be billed in your upcoming bill. Proceeding further, the next event that you worked on this client's file was to document some drafting was done. So document drafting was entered here, and about an hour and 30 minutes is being entered as duration that you took for this work, and you're going to autofill bill it. So just in case you're going to bill by time, this is how you do. uLaw also allows you to do flat rate billing, just to show you that it works with combination, whether billable time or autofill billable hours that we just used, or flat rate, because you also have a flat rate option that you can bill your clients for. Click on Add New Event and call it as event title, and you're going to give probably court visit, and here you took about 2 hours, 30 minutes, but you're going to bill your client a flat rate of $300 plus taxes. And the best part is you can enter all the description here. You can also record it here, and it will get transferred as a script here for you. I'm just keeping it simple to save some time. Now I've saved those dockets. Once the dockets are saved, remember, just simply add new event, enter the event title, choose whether you want to do time-wise billing or rate-wise billing. If it is time, make sure the duration is definitely matching it. And if it is flat rate, ensure you change it to flat rate and save it. Keep watching on the right top corner here, guys. You see that you have the projected balance so far from what you have billed your client or from what you have added under dockets. You're yet to bill, in fact. It says invoice is pending, which means we have not raised an invoice yet. We have only added dockets. We are yet to raise an invoice, but before we go ahead, I'm showing you how to keep a tab on your projected balance, because most of the time, people tend to make mistakes here. These are very small details that you might have to note. And I always recommend my clients to look at this specific projected balance on the top. Make sure it is matching to what you are required to show to the client. Yes, did you receive a $400 into your trust? Yes, I received a $400 retainer, which is there. Quickly go into your disbursement tab and verify that $400 is here. Yes, it's completely matching. And then have you added a few dockets, which is accounting to probably around 2 hours and 12 minutes. That's right. I have 1 hour, 30 minutes and 42 minutes here, accounts to 2 hours, 12 minutes, and a flat rate of $452, which is $300 court filing or court visit and $100 of admin file charges. So these are so far only dockets, which means these are legal fees. Now moving one step ahead, do you see disbursements so far here is 0? I'm going to go into disbursements tab where I also enter the retainer. I can also enter a disbursement. I'm going to click on add new disbursement here. Pay disbursements from respective accounts. It could be from trust. It could be from general, could be from business credit card, could be from your own credit card, could be from a prepaid account. It totally depends on the method of payment or the bank that you're using. Now, we always tell our clients that the best way to add a disbursement into this program is by following your bank. You would have added, probably a disbursement like courier charges from your personal credit card, because that day you did not take your business credit card to Shoppers Drug Mart for, posting this specific document. So you took your personal credit card. You can still record it as a disbursement and you can later on pay it yourself. So there are methods to add disbursement from any bank that you're using. So remember to follow your bank. That is more important. Now I'm going to keep it simple. And I'm going to show you the disbursement. There are 2 types of disbursements, definitely, that's frequently used. One is a disbursement that is charged to the client but not incurred by you. Very commonly charged to the client are photocopies, where you pay disbursements from general cash other accounts. That's the first option or first sub-option under withdraw from general. Click on it, give the item name, let's say photocopies. You're going to charge about $20 plus taxes to your client, but you did not incur any expenses because you used your office printer for this. So leave the bottom portion blank or 0 and go down and simply click on save. So the idea behind having a top portion and a bottom portion here, I'll quickly tell you. The top portion is always to charge your client. So I'm charging my client for the $22.60 for the photocopy. However, I did not incur any expense. Now you might ask me, what about the paper and in ink and my printer? Their cost, right? but they're cost to your business, they're cost to your practice and firm. It's not your disbursement. You're not dispersing anything on behalf of this client for this particular disbursement. So you leave the bottom portion empty and go ahead and click on save to add the disbursement. Now you keep watching here on the top, from 0 it becomes 2260 because I have added a new disbursement here. Now there are other type of disbursements which are actually spent. Now if you go to the second portion of it, you can enter a court filing fee, and it could be tax exempt. Okay, good. Click on tax exempt. And if you see this one, there's no bottom or top portion here. Very simple, because this is something you're actually spending. There's no need for us to differentiate between what you're charging the client and what you're incurring, etc. Because this is actuals. Just one time you enter, it's going to go into your client's file as well as your accounts, which is here at the bottom below matters. So it goes into your bank as well as goes into your client's record at the same time. Now I've added few dockets, a combination of billable time and flat rate, added couple disbursements and retainers. And now is the time for me to see what I would like to proceed with, whether I would like to do an interim billing or whether I would like to completely invoice my client and transfer the money that's available in the trust. This is completely at your discretion. You can just decide whether you want to do a partial billing or if you want to do a complete billing. But remember one thing, if you're doing a partial billing with more dockets here, for example, let's say this docket was added on 25th of July, and this docket was added on 26th of July, and this one on 27th of July, and this one on 28th of July. So save it, and you decided to invoice your client only up to 26th of July. This is called probably interim billing. You can go to invoice, you can click on backdate option. Right above invoice pending, there is an invoice tab which you click on it, where you click on it and you can click on backdate. Here you have an option to move prior date and stop at 26th. Someone is trying to join, I'm sorry, but Rose, do you have any student called Aaron? I think they're trying to join 2-3 times. If they're facing difficulty, someone please help them join in. Okay, so I'm proceeding with it. Yeah, okay, thanks. So please help your student join in case they're finding it difficult. Let me know. I'll have to unlock the meeting. Okay. Now, yeah, we were talking about backdating an invoice. So do not worry if you have added too many dockets, but you only want to bill your client up to certain period. Please go ahead, click on invoice, backdate option, and backdate it to certain period. I'm deliberately skipping preview, but I request you all to always do preview bill. I would show you preview bill. That would just take me a minute or two. It's okay. So this is how a preview bill looks. I'm cutting off the dockets at 26th July. In fact, the disbursements also will not show up because the disbursements are all dated 28th of July. So as of today, you are only seeing the dockets that got billed up to 26th of July. Okay, so this is a preview bill. I'll show you how it looks when I do a normal billing for 28th of July instead of 26th of July. But there is a facility for you to cut off and do an interim billing even though you've added many, many dockets. Okay, quickly moving ahead, showing you how to invoice normally. Click on invoice, pre-bill, preview a complete invoice. Make sure everything on the preview or the draft looks good to you. Since it's a preview, you would not see an invoice number here. It'll be blank. but everything else is present here, including your practice details or your law firm details and your invoices, your client information, the dockets, the 4 dockets that we added, the flat rate and the billable time, the disbursements on the second page, followed by any trust payments that came in or went out, which is trust payment in and out on the 3rd page, and the following on the 4th page. Now, if you're like me, want to go a little eco-friendly, you could select the eco-friendly method. Even more better is to hide the description. If you're not very keen, it could save some pages for you and invoice it. The moment you invoice your client, you are technically eligible to move what is there in your trust account if you've billed for an equivalent or a higher amount than what is there in your trust. Now, in this case, I have only $400 in my trust, but my invoiced amount is $1,073.50 plus $122.60 disbursement, and the client still owes me $796.10 after deducting the $400 sitting in trust. So I go back and click on question mark simply. The next step after we raise the invoice is to move the money from trust account to general account, and also accept the reminder funds from the client into your general account directly. So there are 2 ways to accept money into general and 2 ways to move the money from trust to general. The first and the easiest of all is to simply click on this question mark beside either invoice pending or no pending invoice. Initially, we saw invoice pending because we had added a few dockets, but nothing was invoiced. But now everything is invoiced, so it says no pending invoice. That is, no invoice pending to be raised. Now you click on question mark. It tells you the matter analytics. It clearly tells you that, hey, you got a $400 deposit into trust. You have not withdrawn anything yet. Good. So you have a balance of $400 sitting in trust. Your invoiced amount totally was $1196.10. This is both your legal fees and disbursements together, followed by what is the balance in your general account, which is nothing but the AR balance. After you raise an invoice, you create accounts receivable. Now that's the amount, followed by $400 pending trust transfer and $796.10, which is what the client owes you. So first of all, transfer the money from trust to general simply by clicking on the check box on the top. Before you do that, I highly recommend you to cross-check or double-check the matter analytics and the amount that you're going to transfer from trust to general. Keep this window open at all times, and then go and open a separate tab where you can log into your online bank, your TD bank or your RBC bank, whichever banking you're with. Open your online bank, then move your funds electronically from trust to general. If you want to be a little old school, you can also write a check from trust to general. Most of them I see these days are electronically moving trust to general, and Law Society loves it. It's just that you have to download a Form 9A to go along with it, or to keep it as a record for the trust transfer that you made. Just follow what I'm doing. I've now transferred $400 in my bank account. So I come back into uLaw, click on this transfer, choose the items that I have invoiced, that I have transferred from trust to general for, and the method of payment is being selected here. And the number that the bank gave me while I transferred this funds from trust to general is also allowed here or entered here. And then I download a Form 9A, which I was just talking about while transferring money from trust to general electronically. This is a form that Law Society requires you to generate at that time, and it's very easily downloadable in one click, and you get this form here. whether yours is a Law Society of Ontario, British Columbia, New Brunswick, Alberta, depending upon your Law Society requirements, the form looks the same way. We download the form as per your Law Society requirement. Now going back in there, you have completed the transfer. What you're left with is the balance outstanding from the client. Imagine the client, after you gave him or her the invoice, pays you the balance amount. It automatically takes you into the general account instead of trust now, because you've invoiced the client and you can accept the money into the general account. If the client gave you an email transfer, enter the reference number here and give client another receipt, like initially how you gave the retainer receipt for the $400, you can now give for the remaining amount, which is a payment receipt. It's not a retainer receipt anymore. It's a payment receipt because you've received this money into the general account. All the details are captured here, including the email transfer reference number, amount, the method of payment, etc. And then you go back to see the projected balance is 0 here. All right. So now I think so far what I've covered the details that Ms. Rose wanted me to share with you all, right from adding contacts to opening a file and adding the matter dockets, adding money into it as retainer, and adding some disbursement, invoicing the client, and transferring what is there in trust to general, and then later on accepting the remaining payment into the general account directly. In this process of adding details into the matter, unknowingly, we've also added it under the accounts, because the respective journals and ledgers captured while you added everything into the trust and the general is now reflecting under the trust and the general accounts here. If you see here closely, under pool trust account, you will see that the amount that the client paid into the trust account initially as retainer, the $400, retainer Sarah, Kansas, is over here, which matches with the bank, and the trust transfer that was made is also over here. Along with it, the general account is also over here, where you get to see all the details of the trust transfer and the $400 trust transfer and the $796 that was paid directly into the client's account. Adding to it, you also get to see if there was any amount that was paid as a disbursement from your general account. In Sarah, Kansas matter, we added a filing defense notice fee and the $100 that we spent, which you see here under the matter. It was added as an actual billable, and you get to see this disbursement going out of your general account, the TD Bank, and you go into your TD Bank here under accounts, which is your general account TD Bank. You get to see the $100 for the same date, which is nothing but the same filing fee notice. I also would like to show you one other thing that probably I missed while doing it. When I was doing this disbursement, I did not enter the check fee, and now you see the check fee here simply by adding it. So if I have forgotten the check number, or if you have forgotten the check number, just simply go into accounts, go into action, go into administrator, become an admin. I repeat, into accounts, into action, into administrator, I enabled it, And now if I go back into the matter, just simply click on edit item, unlock this transaction, and it's already invoiced. I cannot do anything with this part where I had already entered $100. I cannot do this anymore or change this anymore rather, but I can change it over here. The method of payment was check, and I forgot to enter the check number 009. And before I want to go ahead and save it, I actually wanted to print it to give it to that specific courthouse. Let's say this was Courthouse Brampton. And now you save it, and you can see that the check gets printed. It gives you the date, the amount, description, everything else. Download this. My check is a top check, so it is in the top, along with 2 ledger copies, and it's for your records and client. So you have the check printed, which can be done from disbursement, while adding a disbursement, or even after you added the disbursement in case you forgot, like how I did now. And when you're recovering this expense, suppose if it is not part of your retainer, this is exactly how you recover it. You can get it into your general account as a payment from the client. Always make sure to do a pre-bill if you have funds in trust. This is a very helpful option or a facility to do a pre-bill. It enables you to see each and every aspect in the file. Right now it's all 0, but the pre-bill that I raised earlier is over here. It shows you clearly all the details that we added right from the dockets. We saw it in the earlier stages. So everything is over here. And I think beyond this, you would not be able to make a mistake, because if you are able to capture the issue, like for example, if this was taxable and it's 0 over here, you can go back quickly and change it to taxable. So just ensuring that you have not committed any mistakes, preview billing is the best stage for you. All right, now quickly jumping into it, coming back into uLaw, I think I've showcased everything that Ms. Rose wanted me to show, but I just have one request to you all. The best way to learn this program is by subscribing to uLaw YouTube channel. You would definitely see plenty of useful videos. There would be the CPD webinars. There would be a lot of these videos that my support and technical team have made. There are more than 500 videos. If you're looking at it, we have more than 500 videos that we've made. All the webinars are here. All of the question answers are here. A lot of frequently asked questions are here under playlist. They've been sorted into their respective headers. So if you're looking for getting some training, you can go here. If you're looking at past webinars, it's here. If you'd like to learn uLaw at your own pace, you can go into this playlist. There are tons of playlists available here. And what we saw today is only a portion of legal accounting, but there's many, many more, than what we just saw in terms of accounting, office expenses, or in terms of reconciling the books, or in terms of adding your compliance for your monthly law society purposes for financial management. Everything is downloadable, provided you add information. For a quick example, I want to do a client trust ledger for today's date. So whatever I've added today in my books for any client, or let's say, for example, for this specific client, let's say Sarah Kansas, I want to see what is there in my client trust report. It very clearly gives you that client paid you $400 into trust, then $100 was trust transferred for the purpose of filing fee, and the rest went towards your legal fee. and photocopy. So if you take clients general, let's say again today's date, all clients, instead of that, I'll do for Sarah Kansas alone. And you get to see everything here, right from the billing to what was received by the client or trust transferred by you into the general account. So the program allows you to download all the documents that it requires, or rather you require for Law Society purpose and for your client purposes, or for your own practice purpose. But I think it's about making sure that the input or the details that you provide into the matter definitely matters a lot, because the information is picked up from that stage. So remember, you are able to generate n number of ledgers and journals if you have recorded the information in a timely manner and an accurate basis, which matches with your bank account. And once that's done, I don't think there's going to be any problem in terms of generating the documents that you need. Lastly, I'd just like to recommend you all to download uLaw edu. It allows you to basically, look into the videos. A Chrome extension, you can just go into Google Chrome and type saying you want uLaw edu as a Chrome extension. You could just say uLaw edu Chrome extension and add it to your uLaw as a toolbox, and this will just simply show up here, like how I just added. I had deleted this so that I can show you how easy it is to add a uLaw toolbox to your Chrome. At least this semester, if you're working with using uLaw, you could just simply use that. It gives you many information with the manual, with reaching our website, going into the uLaw, and please follow us on our Twitter and our Facebook platform. Yes, we do have Instagram. If you're all more into Instagram, whichever social media platform that you prefer, please do log in and subscribe, just for the sake of details and the useful information that uLaw keeps posting. You can follow it, and it'll be helpful for you when you probably open up your own practice, or even otherwise you stay connected with your with the specific details that uLaw keeps posting. And most importantly, we have a lot of free CPD webinars and a lot of recordings. You can simply click on it, and you have to register, but you can go online and register on uLaw.io for that. And all our Friday CPD webinars, it just quickly takes you in here by clicking on the toolbox. And lastly, you have the edu accesses here. You can just go and click on edu access, and it takes you into the platform that we were currently working on. I think I'm almost done, Ms. Rose. If there's anything specific, any questions from any of them, I could take it for the next 5-10 minutes. I know you're all late. I'm sorry, a little bit delayed because we had some technical difficulty getting started. I'm not sure. I'm going to unmute all of you, but I'm not sure which one is Rose's number.
Hi, thank you so much. That was an excellent presentation. It definitely gave all of us a excellent start to finish, see how it works. I think that's a very good introduction to the program itself.
How come you didn't cry when you saw me?
Hey.
You had 3 options to cry.
Hi. Rose, can you tell me which one is your phone number? I'll just unmute you.
I'm at the very, oh, gee, I don't know what number I am.
Yours is 647-88-19683.
416-895-4090.
My question.
I don't hear. I just need to unmute you because others have some background noise.
Else.
Yeah, which is your number? Can you tell me this is your number now? Okay. I request all of you to go on mute, please. I'd like to take some questions, feedback, just so that I can help you all. I'm going to be sharing this recording link with you all. Some materials. I mean, of course, when I say you all, I'm going to be sharing it with Rose, and but probably Rose will be sharing it with you all. Rose, I'm not able to mute all.
Okay, hang on a second. Hang on. I'm just going to go into the other one. Sorry. Hang on a second. Oh my gosh. Hang on a second. Tari, turn off your computer. You know what? Maybe you can mute everybody and they can just put the questions in the chat.
I think I got it. Can you hear me, Rose?
Yeah, I can hear you. Mute everybody except me.
Okay. Yours. Okay. Okay. I think they should be fine, Rose. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Thank you so much.
Oh my God. Better.
Well, I know what that was.
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead, Rose.
Anyway, I just want to thank you because I think that was an excellent presentation. And if any of the students have questions, I think what we can do is I will forward the questions to you.
Please. Please
and
email
maybe we
me.
can do it. Maybe we can do it that way.
Absolutely, absolutely. I will also forward the presentation materials, the recording link, and some exercises for them so that you can follow up with them and understand. And if they have questions, they can directly also reach out to us on chat or email us on support@ulawpractice.com. I'll be sending you all the details in the next few minutes, okay?
Perfect.
Maybe next few hours because I have to wait for the recording link. So probably latest tomorrow morning, I'll send you everything. But I hope I covered everything that the students needed. If at all there's some time, maybe later, I don't know if they all need, they can always, all the resources are available in the toolbox that I just mentioned. So please encourage them to add this uLaw toolbox Chrome extension. Follow us on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. A lot of informations are being given out there, and all the CPDs and webinars and everything is available, easily accessible from this toolbox. So I highly recommend them to download this, and even you, Rose, okay?
I will.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm hoping everyone followed what I spoke. If there's anything that was misunderstood or misrepresented, I probably apologize. Please do share your details with us, and I'd be happy to share further details if any one of you is interested from today's session.
Okay, that's perfect. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and I will be in touch with you tomorrow. To follow up with you. I would like to speak to you. And for the class, please log out of the uLaw and go back into the Zoom, okay? Thank you so much. It was fantastic, and I really appreciate you doing the presentation for us.
Thank you, Rose, and thank you, class. Thank you all.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Yeah.